Why smoking marijuana gets you high. Believe it or not, scientists have only recently begun to discover the reasons why smoking pot gets you high. Today, researchers are just beginning to understand the many complex ways that marijuana, or more specifically the various active chemicals of the plant, interacts with the human body. The physical, therapeutic, and psychoactive effects one experiences after ingesting marijuana are derived primarily from a family of unique chemicals known as cannabinoids. We say primarily because there is emerging evidence that the plant's terpenes, a class of hydrocarbons found in the plant's essential oils, and flavonoids may also possess some mildly active therapeutic properties, but it appears that these components are far less active than cannabinoids. To date, investigators have identified over 80 distinct cannabinoids in the marijuana plant. Cannabinoids are typically concentrated in the resin produced by the plant's trichomes. The most studied of these cannabinoids is delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, better known as THC. Why is this the most important of all the cannabinoids? Simple. THC is the stuff that gets you high. Of the dozens of cannabinoids in marijuana, only THC is significantly psychoactive. Most other chemicals such as cannabigerol, CBG, and cannabinol, CBN, possess mildly therapeutic properties but don't induce euphoria. Other compounds, most specifically the chemical cannabidiol, CBD, actually counteract some of the psychoactive effects of THC, acting as marijuana's anti-marijuana mechanism. Many of the effects of cannabis are dependent on the plant's THC content. Ingest a variety of marijuana that is high in THC, such as 10 or 15% THC, and you'll fairly quickly begin to feel its psychoactive effects, as well as a mild increase in heart rate. Consume a strain of marijuana that is grown for industrial purposes, which typically possesses less than 1% THC, and you'll feel no effects at all. For the record, the average THC content of most domestic marijuana consumed in America hovers around 5%. Visit a legal medical marijuana dispensary, retail outlet in California, or a coffee shop in the Netherlands where the sale of up to 5 grams of cannabis is legal to patrons over age 18, and you will discover a wide variety of marijuana strains to choose from with names like Blueberry, White Rhino, and Purple Kush. Like their names imply, these strains vary widely in appearance, aroma, flavor, THC content, and perhaps other cannabinoids, and price. Based on their chemical cannabinoid makeup, each strain also produces distinctive effects. The physiological reasons a person experiences a high after ingesting marijuana is because the cannabinoids interact with individual receptors, so-called CB1 and CB2 receptors. The CB1 receptors, first identified in the late 1980s, are located primarily in the brain and regulate the drug's psychoactive effects. The CB2 receptors, identified in the early 1990s, are located throughout the human body and are responsible for many of the cannabinoids' more tangential therapeutic effects. Naturally occurring chemicals in the human body that possess a similar molecular structure to herbal cannabinoids, so-called endocannabinoids, also interact with the CB1 and CB2 receptors to regulate many essential biological functions, including appetite, blood pressure, and reproduction. Because the majority of the body's CB1 receptors are located in the frontal lobe region of the brain's cerebral cortex, which regulates emotional behavior, and the cerebellum, a region in the back of the brain that primarily controls motor coordination, but not the brain stem, which controls life-preserving functions like breathing, ingesting marijuana is not pharmacologically capable of causing a fatal overdose, regardless of THC potency. According to a 1995 report prepared for the World Health Organization, WHO, there are no recorded cases of overdose fatalities attributed to cannabis, and the estimated lethal dose for humans extrapolated from animal studies is so high that it cannot be achieved by recreational users.